Hi, everyone. This is Kevin DeLeon with Cengage Learning, and I wanted to put together a quick video outlining the new MindTap for psychology. And there are a couple of new resources in here for your students, and I wanted to make sure that you knew what MindTap was and how it can be useful for your students. It's also important to know that we integrate seamlessly with Blackboard. So you can bring in a course level link that would take your students to this page. Or if you like, you could bring in a link that might take them to this specific ebook link, or this specific quiz, or this specific critical thinking assignment, or any items that you bring into MindTap. You could take them directly there. What's also great as well is that Blackboard integration is single sign-on. In other words, you and the students sign on one time at the beginning, and then you don't do it again. And because we allow you to link to specific items within each chapters, it really allows you to utilize what resources in MindTap you want. So you can use the ebooks or the videos or the mastery training. So if you want to use it all, you can, but if you only want to pick and choose parts of it to help enrich your Blackboard course, you can do that as well, and that's exactly how we've designed it. So in any case, let's get started. We'll try to make this brief. There are a couple of views up here at the top that you and your students can use. This one over here is the week view. And as you assign due dates to different items, those activities will actually show up here for your students. So instead of going here into each chapter, they can actually streamline their workflow by week and complete items that you've set due dates on. In terms of setting due dates, you can do it item at a time if you like, or you can come over to this date manager view and you can click either one or multiple items and assign due dates to those items. And you can do them for ebooks or actual assignments, or discussion questions, really anything that you like. It's a great way for you to assign one due date or multiples at a time in case you need to change them, or in case it just makes it easier for you as you prepare for your semester. And actually, as you see, so I've made those changes. We can go through, and here they are. And actually, if I wanted to complete one of these assignments as a student, I could click on it, and I'll launch right into it. The student knows it's due on April 22nd at 11 p.m. And in I go to the assignment. Okay, which is pretty cool. In any case, we'll start right here. So in this view, you'll see that everything is broken down by chapter, and there are also a couple of parts throughout the book as well. And it mirrors how the book is actually laid out. Okay, and there are some appendix items here at the bottom, okay, as well. So we'll just go ahead into chapter one. So right here at the top, all the chapters are going to start out with a folder, and this is where all of the ebook links are going to be held. And actually, just a minute ago, I assigned some due dates, so you can actually see them displayed here as well. I want the students to read this by tomorrow at 11, okay? So this is where they all are. The students can click into each ebook link and access the ebook. We've broken out the ebook links into sections like this because we realize that kind of gone are the days where students sit down and read a book for 3 hours or read chapters 1 through 5. We typically find that they study or do any type of reading in about 15 to 30-minute blocks of time. So we wanted to make sure that we chunked that information out for them that worked a little bit more in line with what their current workflow is, okay? Once they're inside the ebook, they can do a whole number of things. Any bolded terms or glossary terms, they can click on them and get definitions. Students can also highlight and note take and do a bunch of things inside of MindTap. So by highlighting a term or phrase or paragraph and releasing, they get these options. They can highlight in a different color. They can use the dictionary to look up the word that I highlighted. They can add a note. And when I hover over it, you can see it kind of pops out there. We can even have the text read to you.
Welcome to the world of psychology, the scientific study of.
You'll notice that it followed along with you as well, which really helps. I personally am dyslexic, and so whenever I am reading a textbook or any information, especially a lot of it, it really helps me to follow along. I usually do it with my finger, but having the ability to have it follow along with me and read it to me maybe while I'm reading as well really would help me retain the information, so that helped as well. If the students wanted to read the entire page, they could just click up here, read this page aloud. There are printing options out of here in case the students decide just to purchase MindTap all by itself. For you, the instructor, there's a pencil up here that allows you to insert content into the ebook. By clicking on the plus, you can insert a bunch of different information. A YouTube video, a web link, maybe even your own content that you like, anything that you've got on your computer, and a couple of other items. And the reason that we do this is we want the students to be able to get a little bit more context in terms of what they're reading. In other words, after one of these paragraphs, if you think it might be helpful for them to watch a video, we want them to be able to do that. Also, also, if they put a YouTube video in here as well, one of the great things about that is it will actually play inside the ebook. It won't take them to YouTube. And it also cuts out the ads as well. So it's a little bit of a better viewing experience for the students, almost like those videos were meant to be there. And so that's the ebook kind of in a nutshell. Okay. So there's a quiz here before class. You can assign that to your students if you like, or they can use it for their own resources. This item here is the mastery training. This is one of the real new things to this MindTap that we find really impactful for students. So when we put together this new MindTap, we went and spoke with psychologists and we said, what's the most effective way of learning? And psychologists told us that it was distributed practice. And that concept is what helped drive the creation of this module. And so when you students log in for the first time or each time, they're going to be asked how long they want to do this. How many items do they want to learn? Okay, we're going to say 5 just to keep it short. We're going to start our learning. Okay, and so the goal is to get to 100% of these items to level 1. Okay, and there are 5 different levels that the students can learn from. Level 1 means that the students have been introduced to the concepts or definitions or terms enough times that they will know it from 0 to 5 days. That's how long they will remember it. If they get the items to level 2, which is what we recommend in terms of their learning, they'll know it from 5 days to around 3 weeks is what we determine that they'll have it in their memory for. Level 3 is 3 weeks to 3 months. Level 4 is 3 to 9 months. And then the mastery zone is the last zone is 9+ months. So they'll know it maybe forever. It can take a while to get items to levels 3, 4, and 5. So we recommend starting out by getting everything to level 2. Okay. You can set your own goals and measure your memory as you go. And the idea is to study everything through level 1. So in this case, we're going to have the term and the definition given to us. We want to introduce this to the students. And down here at the bottom where it's orange, we can say, got it. Again, we're going to get the items that are introduced to us. Got it. Okay? This is what cognitive psychology is. This is what a controlled group is. Okay, so we want to make sure that we give the information to the students first. Okay, so now we come to the part where we're going to test what we just introduced to them. So in this case, we're going to give them the definition. If the students do not know it, they cannot remember, they can say don't know it, and we will provide the information for them. Again, introducing it to them. And you can say, yes, now I got it, I understand it. Cognitive psychology, you can say, yes, I remember that. And now we're going to test you. Do you know it? Which one is it? And you can say, I don't know, it's this one. Nope, I was wrong. So you can see where it's red and where it's green. The idea is not necessarily right and wrong, but it's about educating the students and helping them build that mastery, that memorization of these concepts and terms that are so critical to the building blocks of introductory psychology. So you can say, got it. And we're going to go along. Sometimes we get the definition first. Sometimes we get the term first. And I got that one right. So I can move on next. And I'm going to move on until my progress is all the way at 47% here. When that happens, you're going to see these dots here and here. This is on a PDF so that we can move the process along. And as the students know the topics, the dots are going to move across the page, okay? At the end of the mastery training for that day, we're going to suggest to the students that they come back at a certain time to study again, because we want them to study a little bit often. And if they don't come back often enough, the dots will fall away, just like the topics will erode from their memory. And as they continue to be introduced and study these topics, the dots will move from level 1 on to level 2, and so on and so forth until they get closer to the mastery zone. The reason that we do this is because, just like it says right here, we don't want the students to cram like a lot of students do right now. Okay, we want the students to be confident, and we want them to know the topics. And so I'm sure you've heard the saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. You wouldn't eat 30 different apples before you go to your doctor's visit and expect to get a clean bill of health. Much like the MindTap Mastery, you can't cram before the test and expect to have good results. So we want you to eat an apple every day, or be introduced to the concepts every day or very often, so that you can have good health, or in this case, master the material. And that's the idea. This is something that you can assign for the students, but it's really more for the students in terms of what they in terms of their studying. It also really helps them with time management, because a lot of students aren't sure exactly when to study and when not to study and how much to study, and this gives them a clear path. The other item is the data. We get a lot of great data from this. So if your department or school is asking you for data and information about how your students are grasping specific concepts, we're going to be able to deliver those to you in a really effective way. So that's the MindTap Mastery. Also here, there's a critical thinking assignment that's available for students. And here we want the students to do exactly that. We want them to think critically. We want them to apply the knowledge that they've learned through their MindTap Mastery and maybe through any of the readings here as well. And in chapter 1, this is an engagement activity. Each chapter critical thinking activity is slightly different. But in this case, we want them to read just a little bit, okay? And then we want them to answer some questions. In this case, this is a personality analysis, and then we want them to answer a couple of questions, okay? Very short, like you said, not a lot of reading to do, okay? And then we want to grade it now. What's great here is not only are we going to give them some right or wrong answers, but we're going to give them some feedback by clicking this open button here. The feedback here is very specific to the question above and gives the students actual real-time feedback right away. Even if you're not there, they have someone with your knowledge here with them, giving them the explanation. Why isn't this right? Why was this right? And so on and so forth. Down here is try another version. So we're going to give the students the assignment again, except the details are different, but the concepts are the same. So to the student, it looks like the same exact assignment, right? It looks very similar. Actually, it looks exactly the same, but it's not. It's different. And the reason that we do this is we want the students to understand a concept, understand where they were correct or not correct, and then being able to test themselves again. Instead of just memorizing how a question was written and what the answer to that specific question was, this allows them to actually think critically and apply the learned concepts to the material. When I was in college, I tell everybody this, that I used to make practice quizzes for myself very often. And after I would determine what I got right and wrong, I would always want to practice again. But to do so, I would need to then write out an entire new practice quiz, which would be really time consuming. And in many cases, I wouldn't do it. So these are here for your students. These are all auto-graded, and much like other assignments, can be added right into your Blackboard gradebook, which is great. You'll also notice that there are a couple of action video quizzes inside some of the chapters, and I'm going to just click on one right now. And so we know that a lot of you are using YouTube videos and different videos in your classes and those types of things. And we want you to continue to use exactly what you're using. But we've got a lot of really great resources in here as well. And not only are we providing the students video, but we're also mirroring it with an assessment that mirrors the concept from the actual textbook, which is great. So in this case, we want them to view the video, and then we want them to answer some questions as they go along. I think my internet is just a little slow. Here we go. So we're going to start playing. And you'll notice that right here
during any given month, almost
right
24
here
million Americans
are
between
some
the
breaks.
ages of 12 and
so
29
we're going to hop to them really quickly, and you can see what happens.
evaluate them in terms of effectiveness using this sliding bar.
So here we are at a stop, and you can see that we've got a very short assessment here for the students, and it's assessing them on what they've already watched. So it's a great way to make sure they're watching the video, and to not only just watch the video mindlessly, we want them to be engaged with it, and this is a great way to do it. The other great part is that it is auto-graded, and you don't have to complete it. So you'll be able to assess your students more often without taking a lot of time of your extra time in case you have a lot of sections and just don't have that extra time. We also hear from our instructors that writing is a constant problem in class. So we wanted to give you the opportunity to have your students do a little bit of writing, should that be a concern of yours. A lot of my instructors tell me that they want to assess their students more, but again, they just don't have a lot of time. So in here, we've got an actual writing assignment. So above, they can read a little bit about what they're going to be writing about. And down here, they can do some writing and then securely and easily submit and score. And then you can grade it. That'll be an item that you'll have to look at, which is great. Again, up here are the ebook chapters, just like they are in all chapters. Much like I showed you inside the ebook, there's some great customization options either within each chapter or here in this inside this learning path as well. What you'll do is you'll come to this plus and you'll come to add activity. And you can create a folder, a new unit, or an activity. So you can do some organization in here if you like. You can add flashcards, RSS feeds, maybe from a really great website. You can do a YouTube video that is not already in MindTap that you really want your students to see. If you want to create a test or a quiz using our test bank, you can do that as well. If you want to give them an additional Applia critical thinking assignment, you can. Embed a web link, another writing activity, maybe a non-MindTap activity, or maybe it's an item that you have on your computer already that you want to put into MindTap. That is available for you as well. So you can really customize MindTap any way that you like. All of these chapters can be rearranged. You can change the names of them, the location, the descriptions, the available dates, the due dates, really anything that you like. Over here on the right, we've got some information about some recent scores. And this gives you kind of a quick snapshot of some of the average scores that have been coming in for some activities that have reached their due dates. And they'll come in with dots in different percentages so that you can see how they're doing. And then up here is just a class average percentage. If you want to dig in a little bit more, this app right here is a progress app. This allows you to see analytics about every single student of yours, see some information on all the concepts that your students are learning and how proficient they are, as well as utilize a grade book, and you can import and export grades if you like. This app here is a search app. Believe it or not, from our focus groups, most of our students are accessing MindTap to do work in it around 2 o'clock in the morning, which I think is pretty late, but maybe it's not. And when they do that, we want them to be able to find and access that material as fast as possible. And much like Google, we wanted to give them that same functionality so they can type in any type of search that they like. Maybe it's learning. And you can see it gave me a couple of helpful tips. Okay, here's just 10 results. And if I want to show more, that's 10 out of 205. Here are some places inside where the word learning is used. And again, I could show more and more and more if I like. And these are all hyperlinks. We could go right to it if we like. Here we go. So pretty cool. Up here is the book, the entire book, not chunked out into sections. It's the full book. This is the glossary. It's all full of alphabetized glossary terms. As I said, we can read the ebook to you. This is the app that allows for us to do that. These are flashcards. Although it seems simple, students love the flashcards, and it is usually the most widely used item inside of MindTap. So here are the flashcards. They're done for you, and they are arranged by chapter. The students can print them out if they like. They can create their own cards. And actually on our new MindTap app that'll be available this fall, the students will be able to access their flashcards right on their mobile phones, which is really cool. Of course, there's a dictionary and some other apps as well. The last one I'll show you is a My Notes app. So inside the My Notes app, I did a couple of highlighting and note-taking inside the ebook earlier. And when I do that, they will actually show for the students in their My Notes app, which will organize them for them and actually create kind of a personalized study guide for them. So here are the highlights that I took and the note that I took. And they're actually all hyperlinked. So if I wanted to hyperlink on one of them, it would actually take me back to the chapter that I took the highlight or the note, which is pretty cool. Here I am. So it's great. I used to do highlights and note taking all the time when I was in college, but I always found it very difficult to utilize them as a study tool. And now I'm able to do it. So the students can do them for each chapter, and they can organize them here, and then they can just read through them as they like. They can print them. In our notebook tab, they can sync up with their Evernote account and use their phones or tablets or computers as a digital notebook. And they can even bookmark pages if they like. Here we go. Just bookmark that page. Very cool. Lastly, I wanted to show you Blackboard. So most of this content is actually criminal justice, but it'll work either way. So I'm sure most of you have more information inside your Blackboard course than I do. But inside here, maybe you have a couple of different weeks here inside your Blackboard course. And maybe you have a folder called Assignment 4. And inside of the Assignment 4 folder that you have a whole bunch of information. So let's say you wanted to use one of our items from MindTap. So you'd come and you'd search your book. Your list would be a little shorter than mine. Again, I'm going to show you a criminal justice one because that's what I have loaded up here. And maybe you just wanted to give your students this video. And if you wanted to give them the video case questions that go along with it, you can. If you see this next to the item and you bring it over into Blackboard and this box is checked, we will put the grade into your Blackboard gradebook. But if you don't want that, you could just unclick. Okay? And then you'll confirm your selections. And in we go. These are the items that I just brought in from MindTap. So while I showed you a lot of items in MindTap just now, keep in mind that you don't have to use it all. If you think the mastery training is great and you want your students to do that each week, use MindTap for that. If you think the video quizzes are great, use MindTap for that. If you think the functionality of the ebook is great, use MindTap for that. In other words, you don't have to use MindTap all the way unless you'd like to. You can use just a little bit of it that works well for you. And we think that we've got enough resources here to really help enrich your Blackboard or your learning management site to help your students become better learners. If you have any questions,